so pretend for a second that we have a 25 weeker, okay? So the baby's super little. This is a setup that has absolutely no needleless connectors, okay? Every single thing in this whole system is completely fluid filled. There is no microclave, there's nothing that adds fluid or creates an area where bacteria can grow. We have a VersaSafe here. We're connected directly here. This means that whenever you disconnect this, you'd have to use super sterile technique, right? Mm-hmm. And you would never, you don't put anything extra, but it doesn't create any, movement because you've got enough play in this lure that you're not, forcing or, displacing anyway. And then you've got everything hooked up directly to that. You've got, your syringes directly. You still got your maybe a pressure sensing disc for this micro preemie. You've got filtering all your drugs because you want all the air out of the line. You've got your lipid filter, your lipid syringe, and then your TPN, you might have amber tubing because that teeny tiny baby needs the light sensitive protection of its TPN because the baby is so small. And then
can you explain that a little bit further?
Sure, absolutely. So the whole purpose with amber tubing is that there are studies that TPN and some certain drugs are photosensitive. So in other words, the light does something to damage the nutrients and the baby's ability to absorb the nutrients.
Okay, and that would be because the lights are so bright on the baby.
The lights are so bright on the baby. Some hospitals use this only for micro preemies. Some hospitals use this for all babies. If you do a poll of nurseries or NICUs nationwide, 50% will say yes, they use amber tubing. Some of them only put an amber bag over the infusion or the syringe. Others use amber tubing, and it tends to go along with the manufacturer's recommendations. And if the medication comes in an amber vial or an amber, container, then they want to kind of carry that through. So you'll see that sometimes, and we do have it. I put these here because just a matter of distinction. Sometimes you might be using a lure. Sometimes you might be using an actual needle for a severely, micro preemie. Sometimes you're going to use a hummy to collect your blood gases. That can be done also through, the split septum connector. Because of the fact that it's a blunt cannula, it needs to be able to collect the blood right directly from this little angiocath. So this again is going to fall into the same parameters of a larger NICU baby, but it's that little teeny tiny baby has no reserve at all. It really, the nurse just has to be super careful. Sterile technique is critical.
Okay, so let me ask two questions. I see that you have a 24 gauge, and we're going to pretend that's an umbilical line in this case. Okay, so that's one point of clarification. Secondly, the pressure sensing disc. Why would you recommend a pressure sensing disc on a micro preemie? Just a little explanation on that.
The pressure sensing disc allows the syringe pump to be, it allows the syringe pump to recognize when the internal mechanism is going to take up, it's actually going to create some slack, and it creates a hard start and a hard stop kind of a effect to the baby. And this pressure sensing disc really makes it a lot more sensitive and gives a safety net for that, so that the baby has less impact to starting and stopping the actual mechanics of the machine.
Okay. So you would use that on your lines of critical medications, much more likely.
Yes, critical meds. You'll have some NICUs that say, oh no, we're just going to use on everything. It is not indicated for lipids and TPN, but it will not hurt lipids and TPN.
Okay.
Okay?
Great. Thank you.